Hey everybody! My name is Eric Steckel, and I want to thank my friends at Guitar Thrills magazine for asking me to do this little video here, which will accompany a full interview as well. And basically what we're going to do today is just talk a little bit about my Knaggs signature model and kind of a little bit of the origins of it, a little bit of storytelling, but also, of course, showing you guys some of the, some of the great features and everything and the things that I really love about it as well. Now, one thing I will say right off the bat is that something that's cool about what Knaggs does with their signature artists and their signature models is that cosmetically, aesthetically, the customer can choose the finish, unless it's a limited run or something. But a standard Eric Steckel model is, the finish can be whatever you want it to be. In this particular case, this is the blue Cobra with the white racing stripe, and this is a metallic finish, and it has the onyx. See, this is one of the other things about Knaggs that's really cool, is there's a couple of, detail touches that are just so unique to Knaggs, and I love the stained onyx binding, because this looks cool with the opaque and non-opaque finishes. So it looks great here with, of course, a metallic blue paint, but this looks great with also like an aged Scotch or maybe like a hickory burst or whatever, even the more vintage style finishes, the stained onyx binding just kills. I love it. So since these guitars are available in any aesthetic, finish the customer wants, what's cool about that for me is like, when I get to see them kind of on the assembly rack about to be shipped out, it's a real thrill for me to kind of see the photos that Peter Wolf from Knaggs takes every week at the shop. It's really cool. So basically, just going back a little bit to kind of start the story, back in 2017, I had actually, at this point, I had not become friends with Peter Wolf and Joe Knaggs yet. I was playing lots of different boutique guitars and just kind of, finding my way, finding my sound, and basically playing very Strat style instruments, or if they had a humbucker, it was, like a, SSH kind of thing, right? So what happened was, before I ever met Joe and Peter, I just bought, like anybody, like any Joe, I just bought on Reverb, I bought a Knaggs Severn X, which is, Fendery in its looks and sound, but of course it did have the bridge humbucker, and it was in, I believe, was it not amber burst, because it was not a burst, but I believe it was amber. There might be another word in there after that, I'm forgetting. But that guitar was amazing, and I bought that guitar just from a dealer, I didn't try to get any special favors or anything. So I had that guitar for quite a while, a few months, was touring it, playing with it, and some amazing fans of mine, made Peter Wolf aware of me and aware of the fact that I was also playing in Knaggs. And in very short order, Peter and I, got to talking on the phone, and the part that surprised him, which led to my signature model being based on the Knaggs shape, is that, he had seen me playing Stratocasters for so many years, and at that point, all the footage of me was with Stratocaster type instruments or boutique Strats or whatever, super Strats. So he was under the impression that that was just my wheelhouse, and that's what I wanted to continue. And when I told him on the phone that, I said to him, can you guys make me a Steve Stevens, the SSC? Because I wanted to go to a single cut, thing with my sound. I was getting heavier into the blues metal thing. And Peter said, yeah, we can certainly do that for you, Eric. But he said, you know what? Let me call you back in like 10 minutes. I want to just talk to Joe about something. And he said, just stay where you are. I'll call you right back. So he calls me back and he says, hey, I talked to Joe, and let's work on something for you. He said, you're getting out there a lot as a player and making a name for yourself, and it makes sense that that you have a guitar that's really custom to you. And at this point, we weren't necessarily thinking signature as far as making it for sale, me getting a royalty. That of course came later. but it was just a thrill for me to be able to actually, kind of design something with these guys that was already beyond what I was, even asking, right? So then when we got down to the nuts and bolts of what I wanted, I was talking with Peter. I was explaining to him kind of what I wanted. I wanted a real thick sound. I was, interested in, dual humbucker, really just, I was really getting into the blues metal thing at that point. And he said, well, we've experimented over the years with, some thicker Knaggs and because the normal Knagg, of course, is not Les Paul thickness like this. And I said, yeah, that sounds pretty cool. How about, like a thick Knagg, but no back carve, you know what I mean? Like no belly carve. Give me ebony fretboard. Give me the Morning Star inlays and whatever. And this was the other thing. I said, I see that Joe Knaggs has his own bridge. He makes his own bridge. And I said, tell me a little bit about that. And just through conversations as far as tone, we ended up, because I like a lot of bass, a lot of bass in my sound. So we ended up all sort of agreeing that the Tone Pros bridge would probably be the best for what I was looking for tone-wise. And then basically the next thing was, Joe, was going to build a prototype and ship it out to me, and we were just going to go from there. And the guitar they sent me, fans of mine have probably seen this guitar. It's the Sunflower Burst, and it's the one which has nothing on the truss rod, just a plain black truss rod cover, because, it wasn't a model yet. That was a prototype, and that was a semi-gloss Sunflower with a insane top, like still to this day, one of the coolest tops on a guitar. And I don't play that one as much anymore because it's sentimental to me, and I will play it sometimes in Los Angeles area more locally, but I haven't traveled with it in a while because it's got a lot of personal value to me. And what basically the only changes from that to the current Steckel model is we just we shaved a little bit off of the neck. The Sunflower neck it was pretty beefy. But we're talking just small amounts here. We took a little bit of out of that neck, slimmed it down a tad, and then the next big thing that came about was in 2019 when I signed my deal with Seymour Duncan and was going to work on a signature pickup with them. We were able to tie that in to my signature model Knaggs, right? So then basically from 2019 onward, all of the Eric Steckel models that leave the Knaggs factory come standard with my Seymour Duncan Candy, which is my signature pickup set from Duncan. And that's the secret spice. That's the recipe. That, those pickups in this guitar, it's killer, because I use a lot of gain, but I also want the guitar to be very dynamic, and I'm always doing volume knob, adjustments. For folks who know a lot about me already, you already know this, but I use the high gain channel of my signature Mezzabarba, and I don't switch channels usually during my show, almost never. And all the clean and dirty things are controlled from, the volume of the guitar. And one other thing before I forget that's very important that I want to mention about just Knaggs in general, actually. It's not just my model, but the weight, these guys somehow are able to get a guitar this thick to weigh sometimes, in most cases, less than 8 pounds. And these are not chambered, these are solid mahogany, classic, solid mahogany, maple top, rosewood neck, ebony fingerboard. Like, it's all the classic wood choices of guitars that usually weigh 9 or 10 pounds. And these usually weigh, I've seen the range, the lightest, my Candy guitar, my Sunburst one, that's probably, I think it's about 7.7, 7.8. And they range maybe up to 8.4. But that's an incredible range because most Les Paul style guitars can I've played some that are 10 or more, depending on the year, depending on the era, whatever. So yeah, for someone who plays, I play 2-hour shows, sometimes more, And for folks who know my live set, it's it's not like Jimmy Buffett at the Holiday Inn. This is balls out for 90 minutes, then a drum solo, then I come back for more. So so the guitar has to be comfortable, not just with the playing and the left hand, but also just the physicality of it, the weight, the distribution of the weight, how it sits really nicely on the lap. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's very well balanced. It's not doing this or this. So basically, this is an amazing thing that I've been able to do with Knaggs, and it's really, not to get too sappy here, but it has completely changed my life and changed my career, and just, all the connections and all the people I've met through Peter Wolf and Joe Knaggs, and it's just been an amazing run that I hope never ends. It's incredible. So what I'm going to do now is show you something now. So I'm going to actually switch channels a little bit here. Odd for me, but I'm doing this because I want to show you the dynamic range of this guitar. So I'm actually in drop D at the moment, and I am into my signature mezzobarba next to me. And right now I'm actually on the clean channel with the boost engaged. So it's pretty clean, tiny little bit of hair. You're hearing only the bridge humbucker now. That's guitar on 6 or 7. Let's go all the way up to 10 on the guitar. Now let's click in the gain. Little middle pickup action. Come through as perfectly clear on the iPhone as it does in the room, of course. But one of the things that I find really interesting about Knaggs guitars, my model, but not only my model, just Knaggs in general, is there's like this sort of this harmonic ring that just kind of, the guitar just has this very harmonically rich sort of resonance to it that I haven't really found in other single cuts. And of course, Joe could get into more of the specifics on that, but I know a part of it is, the material they use on the frets, the choices of woods, just, little assembly things that make the guitar really resonate. And for what I do, I'm a very high gain player. I'm blues oriented, but of course my sound is more the sound of a metal guitarist. But of course, with a foot still in the blues, right? So that resonance is actually hugely important to my whole sound. It's not just a little bonus thing. No, it actually is integral into what I do. And give or take a few big events here or there, but typically I go out on tour as a 3-piece without the Hammond organ, which is, I play that on the records, right? But the reason I'm bringing that up is because if the guitar resonates and fills up that midsection, you never feel like you're missing out, you know, or that you are craving mid-range, because the guitar itself fills up so much of that. It fills up so much of that bottom, the low mids, the mid mids, the high mids. And the most important thing that my guitars don't do is they're not ever going to be shrill. I am famous for, I hate presence, or what I call crust, on the top of a tone. For me, high mids is about as high as I want to hear. I don't want to hear too much treble. So the fact that my guitar is voiced in that low mid kind of, you know, Godzilla kind of thing, that coupled with my amp, it's filling up so much, you know, in there that, you know, you can go out on tour as a three-piece and the mids are there. So I don't want to blab on too much longer, so I'm going to leave you guys with a few notes on this amazing beast. By the way, this is Cobra Blue metallic with the stained onyx binding, my personal favorite. And as you see in the back, you know, the full thick, you know, the TS line, which stands for thick Steckel, which I like. So I'm going to leave you guys with a little high gain, and then I will see you guys on the road. Even on the clean, did you hear that? How it almost wanted to feed back? That's what I'm talking about the harmonic richness. That was on the clean channel at the end there, and it was like almost ringing into feedback, which is really the sign of a great guitar and a great amp with not a lot of bullshit in the middle. So, all right, guys, thank you. Eric Steckel here. Knaggs, Knaggs TS, Eric Steckel model. Thank you to Guitar Thrills. Thank you to Mezzabarba. Thank you to Joe and Peter at Knaggs, and we'll see you guys further on at the road.